In this video, I'm gonna tell you what I learned after 1000 hours of prompt engineering. People use AI in multiple different contexts, but still aren't able to understand why are companies and people betting so big on it. Have you considered that maybe you aren't using it right? I'm not blaming you. When we use the internet, we have learned to use it in a certain kind of way. When you want to search for something, what do? We Google it, right? So when we Google it, we learn how to use these keywords and we learn how to search in a certain kind of way where we only give these short keywords to be able to find the right answer that we're looking for. Well, AI is the most advanced version of this, and we need to understand how can we effectively use AI or talk to AI, which is called prompt engineering, in order to be able to get the answer that we are looking for. Let's say you switch to a new phone, right? With the new phone, you're going to have to get used to certain new things, the placement of the buttons, where your finger is supposed to hold the phone, the placement of the camera, and so on. But with time, you build muscle memory to be able to use the phone and get used to how you're going to interact with the phone. Similarly with AI, once you start off, you might find that you need to learn how to use it effectively. But with time, following the 5 techniques I'm going to teach you about, you are going to be a master of prompt engineering. Stay tuned till the end to learn what the components are, especially the last one, because it is going to change the way that you use AI. What is prompt engineering? Prompt engineering is essentially the way that we talk to AI or communicate with AI. Prompt engineering is the art of crafting clear, specific, and effective instructions to get the best out of your AI system. We can't talk to AI the way that you talk to, let's say, Google or YouTube or Amazon with just keywords. We need to incorporate certain components which will help you master the craft of asking or talking to AI, which is known as prompt engineering. Let's dive into each of these components one by one. Point number 1, user context. What is user context? User context is when you tell the AI system more about yourself, where you're from, what you do, what role you're in, and so on. The more context we're able to give AI, the better and the more fine-tuned the answers are. Point number 2 is persona. What does persona mean? Persona means what sort of a subject matter expert role do you want the AI system to take on? For instance, if you're planning a trip, your AI system can become a travel guide. If you need help with homework, they can become a homework teacher. If you want to prepare for interviews, they can become a career coach. Point number 3 is your instruction set, which means what sort of task do you want the AI system to do. The more specific our instructions are, the better the output is. Point number 4 is giving it examples. If you're able to give an AI system more examples of what your output is supposed to look like, or exactly how it is that you want your output, it's going to be able to fine-tune its output for you. And for the last point, stick around to the end, because that is going to be a game changer. And finally, one pro tip towards the end to help you write less number of words in your instruction set. With that, let's move on to doing some hands-on and understanding more about AI systems. User context. User context is when we give the AI system a little bit more information about ourselves. Firstly, both ChatGPT and Gemini sometimes tend to give generic answers, which lets the person on the other side know that an AI system has written it. If you were to call a day out sick at work, how would you write the email for it? You would give your same old boring prompt and say, write an email to my boss saying that I am sick today. But if you were to spruce it up with a little bit of user context, say give it information about who you are, where you're from, what you're doing, what is your level of communication, and then give the prompt, it's going to change the answer. For instance, I am a senior AI and machine learning engineer from Bangalore, and I have a medium level of communication. Write an email to my boss saying that I am sick today. Let's look at what this would look like with ChatGPT or Gemini. First, we're going to write out a normal email saying, write an email to my boss saying that I'm sick today. Now, this is going to give an output which is going to seem very fancy in terms of English, which may not be the style that you actually write in. And this in itself can be a red flag. To overcome this, what we're going to do is we're going to give our older context that we have. We're going to say, I am a senior AI and machine learning engineer, and I have a medium level of communication. Here, you're going to say, I woke up feeling under the weather and won't be able to come into office. Now let's talk about persona. What does persona mean? Persona means you want the AI system to have a subject matter expertise. So if we tell the AI system that, hey, we're going on a trip and I want you to be an expert travel planner. If you're giving interviews, you want it to be an expert interviewer and so on. So let's say you were giving an internship for a role or you're interviewing for a role. How do you write your boring prompt? You're gonna say, ask me 5 questions about my AI internship interview. But it's missing the context here. So what if you were to give an additional persona to the AI and you're gonna give a prompt with persona? You're gonna say, you are a senior director in an AI company and you are an expert on AI. Ask me 5 questions for my AI internship. So what would this look like in Gemini? First, let's say we are going to ask it our normal question, which is ask me any 5 questions for my AI internship, and we're going to get a set of answers, right? It gives the subheader along with the question that it's going to ask us. Now let's say we specify the persona, which is a senior director in an AI company, and this is the other questions it's going to give. As you keep prompting it with better and better persona, you are going to get a better output and better questions. Similarly, you can do this for multiple different case studies, and I can list down a few examples down in the description for you to go ahead and try out these prompts. Instruction set. Instruction set is a fancy way of saying what task do you want the AI system to do. Giving more background context on what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what is the purpose that you're trying to do it for is going to help the AI system fine-tune its answer. Let's say we write a boring prompt. We say, hey, I'm having a tough time at work, what do I do? There's not enough context in this particular answer. But if you were to give it a little more context and say, hey, I had a fight with a coworker and we ended up shouting and I fought with him, what do I do now? Now remember, even the previous prompt techniques that we saw, we can still add on user context and persona here for a better answer, and we've already used the instruction set to an extent in our previous prompts as well. Examples are going to help the AI system understand a little bit more about your style and exactly what sort of output you want. If you're writing an article, you can give an example of the article that you wrote and say, can you write an article similar to this but for this topic? Similarly, you can give an example of your email as well and say, hey, this is my writing style, can you emulate or can you copy this writing style and write an email for this particular task? This is going to help the AI system recreate or be a ghostwriter for you and be able to write the output that you are looking for. Now comes my favorite prompt engineering technique, which is controlling the format of the output. Arguably the most critical part of prompt engineering is that we need to be able to use the output that we get. Whether we want it in bullet points, whether we want points for a slider, whether we want to control the length of the output or the tone in which it's said or the recommended audience or the style in which we are looking at the output, be it a table, be it bullet points, be it in the format of long paragraphs and so on. Right? We need to be able to use it. So let's look at one example. Let's say we are going on a trip and we want to write a boring prompt, which is I am going on a trip to Varkala, tell me what to take. Let's look at a much more interesting prompt to get the output in a way that you are going to be able to tick the things you've done, cross off the things that you haven't done and so on. Let's look at it straight on Gemini. So here we have a prompt which is I am going to Varkala, tell me what to take. I want the output in the form of a single table that I can copy and paste into Excel or Google Sheets. Make sure that you also have these following columns, which is serial number, category, subcategory, item, and what is the status. Please leave the status blank because I'll anyways copy it onto Google Sheets and I'll fill it in later. If we give this prompt, we are going to get an output in the exact way that we would have written it ourselves. So here you go. So we have an output where we're going to look at all the different things that we're going to need, and everything is going to be covered end to end. In case there's something that is not covered, we can go ahead and continue to iterate on top of this prompt. Now let's say you have to prepare for an interview and you want to understand what are the top DSA topics or data structures and algorithms topic that we want to prepare for. Now we're going to say, give me all the DSA topics in the form of a table. This is going to give us all the outputs that we need, where it's going to specify all of the data structures and algorithms topic. You can use this technique to list down everything that you need to learn for an interview. So here we go. So we have all of these topics. Now let's say we want to make it a little more interesting. We know that at our level, we are going to be asked scenario-based questions. So we're going to say, can you please give me scenario-based questions and the answers in the exact same format. So here you go, you have your scenario, you have your question, and you have a possible answer. And this is going to help us continuously iterate and prepare and be able to take mock interviews continuously to better our performance. Now comes one of my favorite pro tips that I've been waiting to tell you for so long. When we write prompts, and I've given you this entire system which we'll summarize towards the end, I don't want to write such long prompts every single time, but I still want the benefit of having customized outputs that suit my needs. For this, ChatGPT has a feature known as custom instructions. So if we head on to ChatGPT and we click on customize ChatGPT, there are two blocks here. In this first block here, we can write custom instructions on where are you based, who do you work for, what are your hobbies and interests, what subjects can you talk about for hours, and what are some goals that you have. This is going to help ChatGPT fine-tune the answers that you have. The second block that we have is you can write more about how do you want ChatGPT to respond, which is how would you like it to format the output. Do you always want to speak in bullet points? Do you want to be formal? Do you want to be casual? Depending on your line of work or your use case. Using this in every single new chat that you have on ChatGPT, which is all again completely for free, ChatGPT is going to give you fine-tuned answers to your responses, right? This is how you can use custom instructions within prompt engineering to get the best response from your AI system. Prompt engineering can sometimes be difficult, but today we've managed to demystify a lot of that. For you to remember the key takeaways from today's video, I've made a silly abbreviation, UPIO, where U stands for user context, P stands for persona, I stands for instruction set, and O stands for output format. Anytime you're trying to craft the perfect prompt, as long as you remember UPIO, you should be able to get it. With that, thank you so much for tuning into AI for Dummies. I'm Anish Mahapatra. If you enjoyed this content, please feel free to hit the like button and subscribe. And if you'd like to see more, you can find more videos here.